Goodness comes and evil goes. Kimungo.
Kimunga Ukombozi, Kimunga Ukombozi, Kimunga Ukombozi, divine liberty, divine liberation, divine freedom, and all that that will bring for African people wherever we happen to be on the face of this earth. Karibu, welcome. My name is Kwende, and today we're going to get into another important subject. That subject is we must know ourselves. Now, the self for the African is not simply the individual person that we point to and say that is the self. Even at the level of person self, there are a number of components that must be nurtured, groomed, shaped, and developed for that person to be optimally functional, whether that be an African masculine man or African feminine woman. Knowingness about the self and its parts is key to our functioning and ascension. Because if we don't know what that is, what that ought to be, then surely it becomes an insurmountable challenge to establish it, to make it functional. We must have knowingness about the various levels of the self. Familyhood ought to have knowingness established for it to exist, for it to function, for it to ascend, for it to grow, for it to develop. And by extension, the African community. And by extension of that, African nationhood. And then, of course, the African world community. Each level of the self requires knowingness. We must have a knowledge about what these things are and how we can determine them to be through our own efforts, our own dedication, time, and energy for the benefit of ourselves. Only the African can do this for him or herself. This is not something that others can bestow upon the African. It is through the thrust of self-determined ascension and self-beneficial application of life that we are able to cultivate, nurture, develop, and grow the selves at whichever level for optimal flourishing. Surely we must carve out some time for our own endeavors, for our own self-benefit that nurtures, cultivates the self-knowingness and transforms knowingness into lived reality. In that sense, living knowingness of the self. So with that food for thought, and surely it is food for thought, Kimunga Ukombozi, Kimunga Ukombozi, Kimunga Ukombozi, divine liberty, divine liberation, divine freedom, and all that that will bring for African people wherever we happen to be on the face of this earth. Shrine of self is gift from above.